So I'll just, marketing effectiveness with marketing automation, this is just a huge topic, right? So there is only so much we can cover in 15 minutes. But I'd like to start by saying that the 4 points that you see now on the screen are really the 4 pillars, I'd say, of how to lead to, more or less great effectiveness when we're building campaigns. And the reason why I've chosen this 500 years old also drawing from Leonardo da Vinci, which is a Vitruvian man, it is because even back then it represented what was the principle of humanism, basically putting men with capital M at the center of everything. So the way it translates into what we do on a daily basis as marketers is that, yes, those 4 pillars, even if integrated very well together and implemented very well, can lead to some or great effectiveness if we forget that our leads, our prospects, and our clients should be at the center of it all. Unfortunately, there isn't much we can do to maximize those. Okay, so that's why this is right there. So without further ado, and building on to the first pillar, I'd like to start with data integration. So I'd like to see my data set, or I'd like to visualize my data set as a bidirectional electrical circuit, right? That you need to visualize, where electricity is being replaced by basically with data flow. And for an electrical circuit to work, all connections need to be closed. They need to actually connect to one another. If there is a gap in that circuit, obviously you're going to have to replace that, if you want to do the things right, with manual processes. And with manual processes, we all know, comes several challenges, such as, additional cost on the team, obviously the marketing team, because someone is doing something manually that should be automated, but also the higher potential for making a mistake. We all humans, we do make mistakes. When something is a manual that late, most of the time to increased errors. And then most of the time as well, what we're seeing, if there is gaps into connectivity, it is the non-ability to maximize our segmentation, personalization down the road. So we're going to go through those in more details, but this is the reason why integrating all our data across all our platforms is paramount, I'd say, to what we are going to talk about here. In orange on the graph, you can see a few examples of what are the native or custom object data fields that you can connect with from one platform to another. The more, I wouldn't say the more, the better. That's down to your organization and your strategy. But definitely having as many fields connected to all platforms possible is what's crucial to leading to a good campaign effectiveness. Now, when we talk about integrating data and sharing data across all our platforms, we cannot forget the very heavy burden that marketing teams have on their shoulders, all of us have, and that's data integrity. So more and more we are hearing, and that has been already some years, starting in Australia, Pacific, Europe, going into the US with California, we have Brazil and a lot more countries coming up. Data privacy, data protection is really across everything that we do and should be the focal point of everything that we do. We have a huge amount of cyber attacks, going on in pretty much all countries in the world, and that's going to be the trend moving forward more and more. So all the new technologies that we onboard, in my opinion, really need to go through an information security assessment and need to go out on the other side green. I wouldn't integrate any platform, and I wouldn't even consider a platform today if they do not integrate with everything else that we have, but also if they don't go through a complete InfoSec assessments coming out the other side green, I would just pass on it. And as an example, we have more and more today prospective clients through RFPs or proposal reviews that are asking us to provide them with the InfoSec assessment, the verified InfoSec assessment of all our platforms, including marketing platforms. And that was not the case a few years ago. So it means that now we have the duty to do that more and more, the duty to protect the data of our clients, our prospects and leads, and do it the correct way. So data integration comes with data integrity. They do not, they don't silo one another. The second point is A/B testing, analytics and insights. So A/B testing, really, I like to look at it as simple statistics, right? And I'd rather rely on statistics than guesses. And there is no marketing team out there that know the audience to a level that they should literally create anything without A/B testing. I think that if we have A/B testing in place, and marketing automation is excellent at providing us with the ability to A/B test pretty much everything we want, or most objects we want, we need to take that in consideration and apply it. So I've put down the slide there a few examples of A/B testing. We can really test a lot of different things. But if we think that marketing is a science, then I think we need to apply the science principles to our campaigns. And that's simple. No experiment outcome is verified if it hasn't been reproduced 3 times in a row with the same outcome. And basically, A/B testing allows us to try that and make sure that this is what's happening. So I would not implement any changes to any of the A/B testing experiments that we provide, or we create, or we run, if it has not been verified multiple times in a row to even the same audience. We are all humans. If you present me with something today, an experiment, and I react to it a certain way, tomorrow I might react to the same experiment a different way. And that's why it is important for us to be basically, we are irrational creatures. We need to be presented with multiple things, multiple times in order to really put on one side or another the option that we choose. So that's basically what I would say about A/B testing. A few examples, we common sense for most of you maybe, but it's better to be verifying this with data. We tested CTA color buttons, and believe it or not, that's kind of common sense, but more aggressive colors lead to a higher click-through rate. Orange and red buttons, more click-through rate. We also tested the amount of information we place on landing pages that are high conversion landing pages. Do we want 3 bullet points? Do we want 5 bullet points? And basically, in that scenario, less is more was not applying. 5 bullet points was leading to an actual 18% increased click-through rate of form fill-outs, right? So imagine that across a nurture campaign that's gathering thousands or tens of thousands of prospects, leads, or clients. The outcome is significant. The difference is significant. So that's the second thing I'd like to say about A/B testing. The third point is segmentation, personalization, lead scoring, and I say vice versa, because I think that segmentation and personalization can create lead scoring. But then when the lead scoring is in place, we need to feed our segmentation and personalization with it as well. So it needs to kind of be a rotating loop there. And I speak with a lot of my peers in regard to what kind of lead scoring model they have in place. And I hear a lot, and I've done it in the past as well, it's changed since then, that they have one single lead scoring across most of their platforms, scoring pretty much anyone and everything with a threshold in place, but still just one. And that for me is very close to having a one size fits all strategy. It does not work, or it's not maximizing what we can do. That's on the top right hand corner of my screen that you can see the different other lead scoring that we could implement to basically maximize that, again, capability of marketing automation. Having a main prospect lead scoring, that's okay. But I'd recommend as well to have campaign specific scoring. That is really for us to have a very targeted scoring system or model in place for very targeted audience on a very targeted piece of content. So the outcome, or once you've assessed that, the outcome can actually be very tangible, and either you and your sales team can actually take action on that very quickly and very easily, or a lot more easily than if it was a little broader. And the one I'd like to emphasize on for a minute there is the client scoring. So most of you be like, why would I score my clients? Well, actually, I think that for us, at least at International SOS, we are medically led or medical assistance company. And we apply what we call the patient-first approach. And we actually keep that in mind when we build our campaign strategies and everything that we do in marketing. Patient-first or audience-first. Again, back to Futurista. And why do we have a client scoring? Well, we work hand in hand with a sales team. And as part of the sales team, we have the account management team looking after existing book of business. in order to retain that book of business, or at least to reduce churn, we needed to implement some kind of model that would trigger automatically notifications or red flags to the account owner when one of their accounts starting disengaging with our marketing materials or our marketing campaigns. And that is really useful because we've looked into the data a little further. We've worked with products to understand if there was a correlation. So we had a hypothesis: is there a correlation between low product utilization and low marketing engagement from the same account? And that was verified. So basically, marketing is able, at least through our client scoring model, to red flag early the accounts that start disengaging with what we produce. And then if we don't do that, and if the action is not taken ahead of time, that can actually lead, or that can show that there is also a low product utilization. And unfortunately, the two of them together lead to potential higher risk for not renewing, not rebuying with us, and so on and so forth. So lead scoring can really be utilized in many various different ways. The prospect lead scoring or the main lead scoring shouldn't be the only one that we utilize in my mind again. But that's up for debate. We can talk about it in a minute.